Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine from Behind the Markets. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, February 10th. And would you know it? It is National Football Hangover Day. I'll tell you what, I watched the game with a good buddy of mine who has it at his house pretty much every year. And I'll tell you something, whenever I go to his house, he always says, bring something, bring a dessert. And I always I'm just addicted to these biscotti that you get at Costco. They give us like a gigantic container. And I literally could just keep eating them. It's crazy. I can't even have them in my house. That's how bad they are. Anyway, Amazon last week, I want to talk about capital spending in AI, which is a big story. Amazon announced earnings Thursday after the bell. It disappointed investors, 3-4% top line growth, which is really the lowest since the firm went public, maybe 6 to 7% on a currency adjusted basis. But what's interesting is the company's expected to spend $105 billion on capital spending, meaning investments in AI largely, which is up 35%. Now, Google owner Alphabet plans to spend $75 billion, which is up 50%. I'm just looking at my notes here. Meta says it plans to spend $65 billion, up 40%. Microsoft says it plans to spend $84 billion, up almost 100% in 2 years. This really speaks to two things. Number one, it speaks to DeepSeek. DeepSeek basically hasn't really stopped this. These companies obviously still believe they've got to spend massive amounts of money to actually stay ahead in the AI race. But also, DeepSeek only came a week or two before earnings came out anyway, so they're probably going to take the next few months to digest this. So they hit to NVIDIA, which is where a lot of this spending is going, and basically AI infrastructure certainly isn't going to be as bad, at least in this next quarter. So that spares NVIDIA, for those of you who've been writing in and asking. Now, there are a handful of companies not named NVIDIA that are very likely going to benefit from this. And I'll go into those in a second. But I'll tell you something. The other thing that's very interesting about this capital spending is it really turns the software AI model on its head, all this spending for AI. Because when you think of big capital spending, companies that have to spend a lot, you think of General Motors. It has to build a new car plant every 20 or 30 years, or has to retool an existing plant. That costs a lot of money, especially in inflationary environments. The cost to replace a plant after years of inflation is a lot higher than the cost to build it in the first place. But it looks like these companies who are starting to have massive investments in capital spending, very much like traditional American companies like General Motors. And one of the big things about these companies is that they did not have that problem. So now they are turning into very mature, very expensive companies. You can't really replicate this without a whole ton of money. Anyway, so all this capital spending is going to benefit a bunch of companies. This is a very bullish sign. We've been talking a lot about bear signs. This is a bullish sign. One of the companies that's going to benefit, not named NVIDIA, obviously, is Broadcom, but that stock is up 623%. So the spending is largely baked in. Micron Technology, for those of you who own it, should do well. So should Amphenol, which makes connectors that actually go into NVIDIA chips. But I think the best way to play this is with the one company basically has a monopoly that designs all of NVIDIA's chips. And NVIDIA uses this company's software to design their chips. Their designs are on 90% of all smartphones. So you pay this company a royalty, you don't even know it. And their designs are so powerful that NVIDIA actually tried to buy this entire company, but they were blocked by the Biden Justice Department, Biden administration, the FTC actually, not the Justice Department. So this company just came out with earnings and it says its business is going gangbusters too, up 30-40%, and it's cheap relative to its prospects. And what we think is with the Biden Justice Department out of the picture and the Trump Justice Department and FTC in the picture, there's going to be a lot of takeovers. And this company is a critical target. They have a monopoly. They get royalties on every NVIDIA chip. This is the power behind the throne, which is why NVIDIA tried to buy them. I'm sure NVIDIA doesn't want them to actually get bought by somebody else. So we think just on the prospects alone that this is great. And certainly it's a top takeover target by NVIDIA or a bunch of other companies that really would benefit greatly from having this company in their tent. So we talked about that last month, and I think we still have a transcript up. So I urge you to check out our stuff on this, our work on this. Anyway, have a wonderful Monday. I'll see you tomorrow.